I'm holding a sketch from 1876, drawn by a man who predicted his own death in chilling detail. This isn't just art, it's a haunting blueprint of his own autopsy, created years before he died. Who was this forgotten genius? And why did he obsess over his own mortality? Stay with me as I uncover the eerie story behind this drawing, revealing secrets hidden in its intricate lines. You won't believe what I found when I looked closely. I first stumbled across the sketch in a dusty archive, tucked away in a forgotten corner of a library. It was 1876, and the paper was yellowed, brittle, but the ink was still sharp. The drawing depicted a human body, splayed open, organs meticulously labeled. What struck me was the precision, every artery, every nerve, drawn with surgical accuracy. This wasn't the work of a casual artist. The man who drew this knew the human body intimately. His name was Dr. Elias Moreau, a name you've probably never heard. He was a polymath, a doctor, an artist, and a visionary. But history buried him. Why? I needed to know. The sketch wasn't just a drawing, it was a confession. It hinted at something darker, something personal. As I traced the lines, I felt a chill. This was no ordinary medical illustration. Elias Moreau was born in 1832 in a small French village. He was a prodigy, dissecting animals by age 10, sketching their insides with eerie precision. By 20, he was a licensed physician, but he wasn't content with healing. He wanted to understand death itself. His journals, which I found alongside the sketch, were filled with questions about mortality. "What is the soul's final moment?" he wrote. "Can we map it?" His obsession drove him to study cadavers, not just as a doctor, but as an artist. The 1876 sketch was his masterpiece, but it wasn't meant for public eyes. It was private, almost sacred. The more I read, the more I realized this drawing was a window into his mind. It wasn't just about anatomy, it was about him. The sketch itself is breathtaking. It's a self-portrait, but not of his face, his insides. The heart, drawn with delicate cross-hatching, pulses on the page. The lungs, shaded to show every alveoli, seem to breathe. I noticed something odd. A small mark on the liver, a lesion he'd drawn with care. Was this a clue? His journals mentioned recurring pain, a sickness he never named. Did he know he was dying? The sketch wasn't just art, it was a diagnosis. Every line screamed intention. I couldn't stop staring at the details, the way he shaded the bones, the precision of the veins. This wasn't a doctor's study. This was a man confronting his own end. Moreau's life wasn't easy. He was shunned by the medical community for his unorthodox methods. He'd perform autopsies in secret, sketching late into the night. His peers called him mad, but I think he was brilliant. His journals described sleepless nights, haunted by visions of his own death. He wrote about a dream where he saw himself on a slab, his chest open, his heart still. The 1876 sketch was born from that dream. It wasn't just a drawing, it was a prophecy. I felt a pang of sadness reading his words. He was alone, misunderstood, yet he poured his soul into this work. The sketch was his way of making peace with what was coming. Let's talk about the details in the drawing. The ribs are cracked open, but not violently, carefully, like a surgeon's cut. The stomach is labeled with notes about digestion, as if he was studying himself mid-meal. I found a tiny inscription near the heart. Finis Vitae. The end of life. Why Latin? Was he hiding something? His journals hinted at a secret he couldn't share. Maybe it was his illness, or maybe something deeper. The sketch felt like a puzzle, each line a piece. I spent hours cross-referencing his notes, trying to decode it. Every detail, the shading, the labels, felt deliberate. This wasn't just art. It was a message. Moreau wasn't just a doctor. He was a philosopher. His journals are filled with thoughts on life, death, and what lies beyond. He believed the body was a map of the soul. The 1876 sketch was his attempt to chart that map. I could almost feel his hand guiding mine as I studied the drawing. The intestines, coiled like a labyrinth, were drawn with obsessive care. The kidneys, shaded to show texture, looked alive. I noticed something else, a faint scar on the spleen, drawn with precision. Was this real? Did he have that scar? His journals didn't say, but the detail haunted me. It was too specific to be random. By 1876, Morrow was in his 40s, and his health was failing. His journals described fevers, fatigue, and a cough that wouldn't quit. He never sought treatment. Instead, he turned inward, sketching his own body as if it could reveal the truth. The autopsy drawing wasn't just a study. It was his way of taking control. I felt a knot in my stomach reading his words. I will not let death surprise me. The sketch was his defiance, his way of saying he'd face the end on his terms. The more I looked at it, the more I admired his courage. He wasn't afraid. He was ready. The drawing's margins are filled with tiny notes, almost illegible. I used a magnifying glass to read them. They're medical terms, but also poetry. The heart weeps blood, one says. Another. The lungs cradle the final breath. It's haunting, but beautiful. Morrow wasn't just dissecting his body. He was dissecting his existence. The sketch is a self-autopsy in more ways than one. It's as if he was peeling back his own layers, searching for meaning. I couldn't help but feel connected to him. His questions about life and death are universal. We all wonder what awaits us. He just dared to draw it. I started to notice patterns in the sketch. The way he drew the nerves, like delicate threads, suggested pain. Was he in pain when he drew this? The journals mention headaches, dizziness, and a burning in his chest. He suspected his illness was terminal, but he never confirmed it. The lesion on the liver, the scar on the spleen, these weren't random. They were clues to his condition. I began to suspect he was studying his own disease through the drawing. It was his way of diagnosing himself, without a doctor. The sketch wasn't just art. It was science, art, and soul combined. Morrow died in 1879, 3 years after the sketch. His death certificate lists consumption as the cause, tuberculosis. But I think there was more to it. The lesion on the liver, the scar on the spleen, those don't align with TB. Was he hiding another illness? His journals stop abruptly in 1878, leaving so many questions. The sketch is all we have left of his mind. I keep coming back to it, searching for answers. The details are overwhelming, but they tell a story. A story of a man who faced death head-on, who drew his own ending. I'm not done with this sketch. It's still speaking to me. Let's dive deeper into the sketch's technique. Morrow used a quill pen, dipping it in ink to create lines so fine they're almost invisible. The cross-hatching is meticulous, giving depth to every organ. I can't imagine the hours he spent on this. His journals mention working by candlelight, his hands trembling from fever. Yet the lines are steady, deliberate. The drawing feels alive, as if it's breathing. I noticed something else. The bones are shaded to show cracks, as if they'd been broken before. Was this a memory of an injury? The journals don't say, but the detail feels personal, almost confessional. Morrow's contemporaries didn't understand him. They saw his sketches as morbid, even blasphemous. But I see genius. He was blending art and science in a way no one else dared. The 1876 sketch is proof of that. It's not just a medical diagram. It's a self-portrait of his soul. The heart, drawn with such care, feels like the center of the piece. I keep wondering what he was thinking as he drew it. Did he know his time was short? His journals hint at a sense of urgency, as if he was racing against death. The sketch was his way of leaving a mark, of saying, I was here. I found a letter tucked into one of his journals, addressed to no one. It was written in 1876, the same year as the sketch. In it, he talks about legacy. I will be forgotten, he wrote, but my work will endure. How wrong he was. His work was buried, just like him. The sketch was never published, never shown. I felt a pang of anger reading that letter. How could someone so brilliant be erased? The sketch is a testament to his mind, but it's also a tragedy. It's a masterpiece no one saw. Until now. I'm determined to share his story. The sketch's details keep pulling me in. The veins are drawn like rivers, branching out across the page. The muscles are shaded to show tension, as if they're still flexing. I noticed a faint outline around the heart, almost like a halo. Was this intentional? His journals mention a fascination with the heart as the seat of the soul. He believed it held memories, emotions, life itself. The sketch feels like a love letter to that idea. Every line is infused with meaning. I can't stop studying it, trying to understand him. It's like he's speaking to me through the ink. Morrow's illness changed him. His journals from 1876 are darker, more introspective. He writes about pain, not just physical but existential. "What is the point of knowing the body if we cannot know the soul?" he asked. The sketch was his attempt to answer that. By drawing his own autopsy, he was searching for something deeper. I felt a lump in my throat reading those words. He was so alone, yet so determined. The sketch isn't just a drawing, it's a quest. It's his way of grappling with the unknown. I admire his courage, even if it breaks my heart. Let's talk about the liver again. That lesion I mentioned, it's not just a mark. It's shaded to show texture, as if it's swollen. I cross-referenced it with medical texts from the time. It could be a tumor, or maybe cirrhosis. Morrow never named his illness, but he knew something was wrong. The sketch was his way of documenting it. I can't help but wonder, did he draw this to prepare himself? To make sense of his own mortality? The journals don't say, but the drawing does. Every detail feels like a piece of his story, a fragment of his truth. The sketch isn't just about death, it's about life. The way Moreau drew the lungs, with every bronchiole visible, feels like a celebration of breath. The stomach, labeled with notes about digestion, feels like a nod to survival. Even in his darkest moments, he was fascinated by the body's resilience. I found a note in the margin, Vita and Mort. Life and death. It's as if he was reminding himself that even as he faced the end, he was still alive. The sketch is a paradox, morbid yet hopeful. It's a reminder that even in decay, there's beauty. I keep thinking about Moreau's hands. They must have been steady, despite his illness. The lines in the sketch are so precise, so controlled. His journals mention tremors, but you'd never know it from the drawing. It's a testament to his will. He was dying, yet he created something eternal. I can almost see him, hunched over his desk, quill in hand, pouring his soul onto the page. The sketch is more than art, it's a piece of him. I feel privileged to hold it, to study it. It's like holding a piece of his heart. The medical community in 1876 was rigid, bound by tradition. Moreau was too radical for them. He wanted to merge art, science, and philosophy, but they wouldn't listen. His journals are filled with frustration. They call me a heretic, but I see what they cannot. The sketch was his rebellion. By drawing his own autopsy, he was claiming ownership of his body, his death. I admire that defiance. He didn't care what they thought. He cared about truth. The sketch is proof of that, a truth so raw it's almost painful to look at. I can't stop thinking about the scar on the spleen. It's such a small detail, but it feels significant. Was it real? Did he have surgery? His journals don't mention it, but the sketch is so specific. I started researching spleens, trying to understand why he'd include it. The spleen filters blood, removes impurities. Maybe it was symbolic, a way of cleansing his soul. Or maybe it was literal, a mark from his past. The more I study the sketch, the more questions I have. It's like a labyrinth, each detail leading to another. I'm not sure I'll ever solve it, but I can't stop trying. The sketch's beauty lies in its contradictions. It's clinical, yet emotional. It's precise, yet chaotic. The organs are drawn with scientific accuracy, but the notes in the margins are poetic. The body is a temple, crumbling, one says. I keep coming back to that line. It captures Moreau's worldview. He saw the body as sacred, but temporary. The sketch is his attempt to preserve it, to make it eternal. I feel a strange connection to him. His questions about life and death are mine too. The sketch is a mirror, reflecting my own fears and curiosities. Moreau's journals mention a woman, someone he loved but never named. "She is my heart," he wrote. I wonder if she inspired the sketch. The heart in the drawing is so detailed, so tender. Was he thinking of her as he drew it? The journals don't say, but I can't help but imagine a love story behind the sketch. Maybe it was his way of saying goodbye, of leaving something for her. The thought makes the drawing even more poignant. It's not just a self-autopsy. It's a love letter, a farewell. I wish I knew her name. The sketch's composition is deliberate. The body is centered, but the organs are slightly off-kilter, as if they're shifting. It creates a sense of movement, of life. I noticed the way he drew the spine, curved just so, as if it's still supporting the body. It's a small detail, but it speaks to his skill. He wasn't just copying anatomy books. He was interpreting the body. The sketch feels alive, even though it's about death. I keep wondering what he felt as he drew it. Was he afraid? Resigned? Or was he at peace? The drawing doesn't tell me, but it makes me feel. I started comparing the sketch to other medical illustrations from the time. They're cold, detached, purely functional. Moro's is different. It's warm, almost human. The way he shades the organs, the way he labels them, it's personal. He wasn't just drawing a body. He was drawing himself. I found a note in his journal. To draw is to know. For him, sketching was a way of understanding, of making sense of the chaos. The 1876 sketch is the culmination of that. It's his body, his mind, his soul, all on one page. It's overwhelming, but I can't look away. The more I study the sketch, the more I see Moro's humanity. He wasn't just a doctor or an artist. He was a man grappling with his own mortality. The journals describe his fear of being forgotten, of leaving no trace. The sketch was his answer to that fear. By drawing his own autopsy, he was ensuring he'd be remembered. I feel a responsibility to share his story, to make sure his genius isn't lost. The sketch deserves to be seen, to be studied. It's a masterpiece, not just of art, but of the human spirit. I'm in awe of it. Let's talk about the lungs again. They're drawn with such care, every bronchiole visible. I can almost hear them breathing. Moro had tuberculosis, so his lungs were failing him. Yet he drew them as if they were perfect. Was this wishful thinking? Or was it his way of reclaiming his body? The journals mention his struggle to breathe. The way each cough felt like a betrayal. The sketch feels like his response to that, a way of saying, I am still here. The lungs are a reminder of his resilience, his refusal to give up. The sketch's margins are a treasure trove. Beyond the poetic notes, there are tiny sketches, bones, muscles, even a tiny heart. They're like doodles, but they're not random. Each one feels like a thought, a fragment of his mind. I found one that looked like a child's hand, delicate and small. Did he have a child? The journals don't say, but the detail feels personal. The sketch is full of these moments, small, human touches that make it more than a medical drawing. It's a diary, a confession, a legacy. I feel like I'm reading his soul. I keep coming back to the idea of legacy. Moro knew he'd be forgotten, but he drew anyway. The sketch was his way of shouting into the void, of saying, I existed. I feel a pang of sadness for him. He was so brilliant, yet so alone. The sketch is his voice, still speaking after all these years. I want to amplify that voice, to make sure the world knows his name. Elias Moro wasn't just a doctor or an artist. He was a genius, a man who faced death with a pen in his hand. The sketch is proof of that. The final detail I noticed was the date, 1876, written in the corner of the sketch. It's small, almost an afterthought, but it grounds the drawing in time. Moro was 44, at the height of his powers, yet he knew his time was short. The sketch feels like a culmination, a summary of everything he was. I can't help but wonder what he'd think of me studying it now, over a century later. Would he be proud? Relieved? The sketch is a bridge between us, connecting his world to mine. It's a reminder that genius never truly dies. I'm still not done with the sketch. Every time I look at it, I see something new. A line, a note, a shadow. It's a puzzle I'll never fully solve, but that's okay. The beauty is in the mystery. Elias Moro drew his own autopsy, not just to understand his body, but to understand himself. The sketch is a testament to his courage, his brilliance, his humanity. I feel honored to share his story, to bring his work to light. The forgotten genius deserves to be remembered. His drawing is more than ink on paper. It's a piece of his soul, preserved forever. If this story moved you, if you're as fascinated by Elias Moro's genius as I am, please subscribe to the channel. Join me as we uncover more hidden stories, more forgotten masterpieces. Hit that subscribe button, and let's keep exploring the past together. You don't want to miss what's next.